All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration. It really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Amber Wolcott. Amber.
Hey.
Thanks so much.
What's up?
Yes, this is awesome.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Honored to have you. I'm
you.
super excited. I know everybody else is to just dive into you as a person, a professional, really gather some insight. So let's just jump in if that's cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am 30 years old. I'm originally from Florida. We moved here on orders, military orders. My husband is active duty Air Force. So moved out here in 2012. Haven't seen a lick of snow, never seen a mountain. We own sweatshirts, sandals, that's about it.
Wow.
We learned very fast the value of a good shell jacket and good socks.
Love it. This is advice already right at
if
go.
you move here, sweatshirts and flip-flops will not be okay. So,
Sure.
So we moved here 2012. Our first year of marriage, I actually only saw my husband for 46 days.
Wow.
So moved across the country, away from our family and friends. Almost didn't even know each other, even though we've been dating for a long time, been married for a year already. And we just kind of found our way, and we love it here. We're natives at heart, I guess.
The transplant native,
right? Yeah, totally. And so my husband and I, we both went to the University of South Florida.
Okay.
Graduated from there. I have a background in public relations and marketing. So moved here. Thought I had a great resume, great portfolio. I had a great job in Florida, so I thought no problem. And I moved here and quickly found out that was not the case. So.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I have 2 dogs, love them, a lab and a Yorkie. They are our lives.
Awesome.
In my free time, I like to be outdoors, just everything Colorado,
Sure.
snowboard, hike, rock climb a little bit, so love being outdoors, love being in nature. We live, eat, breathe the Colorado lifestyle, and we love it, so.
That's huge, and obviously big background into kind of where you're from and
Right.
being a transplant to this beautiful state and city of Colorado Springs. I wish everybody could see kind of the landscape out here. We had to close some blinds just for lighting, but it's beautiful. The snow and everything, it's really great, but it's cold. So you alluded to kind of your career path, prior to and then moving here. I would love to kind of get to know a little bit more on the real estate side.
Right.
So what got you into the business in the first place? What was your progression in your career? Why?
Okay.
And then where are you at now?
Yeah. So a lot of agents have this great story of why they got into real estate, right? Like this calling that they had.
Sure.
For me, not so much. Unfortunately.
This is awesome. This is great.
Awesome story. So I moved here, tried to get a job for 6 months,
Okay.
filling out applications every day. Could not find a job. I worked on events like the Republican National Convention, big, weddings, events, concerts. I thought my portfolio was gonna, land me a decent job. Like I said, that was not the case. So what I had to do is I had to work at a public relations marketing firm for free as an intern. So I was a college graduate with experience interning for free. And so that's why, if anyone talks to me, they're like, oh, you're a millennial because I'm 30 years old. And, there's a stereotype that sometimes comes along with it.
For sure.
That's great. Everyone has their own opinions, but it makes me a little upset when people say that because I was here working for free just to get a foot in the door. Because that's how competitive it was to get a job here. And I was serving tables at night, made terrible money, but what I was doing, what I had to do. And so... So that's when, don't tell me about the millennial, work ethic and things like that because I've been there and I've done it and I worked through it. So really hated where I was in my life, even though I was 25 years old. Didn't like the job I was doing, didn't like, either job that I was doing. So my husband, who has always been into real estate, investing in finance and all that greatness. So he's like, why not get licensed? I'm like, sure.
Hey, there you go.
So I was lucky enough to have assistance with the finances of paying for real estate school through a program called My CAA. It's offered to a lot of military spouses here.
Wow.
Great program if you guys are ever thinking about getting into the business, it's a great, tool that we have. And so got my license, and you know what? I had no idea what real estate was about. I had no idea what it took. I had no idea behind the scenes of real estate. I didn't know you have to pick up the phone. You have to make phone calls. You have to door knock. You have to know marketing. And so it's funny. People are like, would you still do it? And my gut is saying no, probably not.
Get out of
here.
Okay.
I would not have gotten into real estate if I knew what it took to be a realtor. And so, because I was terrified of the phone. At my old job, if the phone rang, I would literally get up and go to the bathroom so I didn't have to answer the phone. I was that person. And so my old boss is like, oh, that's fine. So
now we get it.
Right,
now we
right.
get it, Amber.
But now I live for it. It's a passion of mine. Real estate is what I was meant to do.
Okay.
And I think that is why I have seen the success I've seen, because to me, this is not a job.
Right.
It's my passion.
Love it.
Every day when I get up, I don't feel like I'm going to work. And I think that is a lot of people's dreams.
Right.
And I am just so lucky to be in the position I am in. My husband supported me. He is the one who got me in this business, and he paid the bills. He made sure we had a roof over our head so that I could do this.
Right.
And even when I was starting out, I didn't know it was my dream, but all the pieces fell into place, and here I am. So that's kind of how. It just happened so fast. I got licensed. I did really well in my real estate exam, clearly, because I'm here.
That's right. That's right. She is licensed, everybody.
So it's a crazy journey, and here I am 5 years later, and I can't even believe it, because it's been just not really a roller coaster, but just a journey, just an experience. I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I would do the production I've done. And I look back on it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? But it's been a great journey for me, and yeah, I'm very, very lucky. So
well, and to kind of piggyback off of what you were talking about as far as what you've accomplished in those 5 years in that time frame. I mean, just because you don't have this amazingly compelling, oh well, I had a horrible transaction and I said, I mean, that's nothing to do with it. You really care. It shows with the nature, the impact that you've had on the community with your career thus far in a short period of time. It speaks testaments. Just because you've been doing it for 30 years does not mean that you're the best at what you do.
Right.
And just because you're newer doesn't mean that you're not relevant or knowledgeable enough to complete the job at the end of the day. And I love what you've done and continue to do. It speaks volumes for you. So everybody's watching who knows you knows that's the facts.
Yeah.
But let's go into the next portion of this, because I think this is really telling into your career, and really what drives you is, what's your why, Amber? I mean, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What excites you to do what you do to the level that you do it at?
Yeah, so the question of what gets me out of bed, literally it's my dogs.
Okay.
I have a puppy. His name is Solo, and he gets up at 4 o'clock, and usually has to sit in the bathroom, already did. But no, that's
awesome.
Literally it's my dogs. Figuratively, it's, I've always, I don't know. See, I've never looked into my future and said, I want to own a business, or I want to be this rock star agent. No, that's never been my dream. That's never been my why. It's never been my reason for getting out of bed. So I think for me, I'm a naturally driven person.
Love it.
So I don't need a reason to get out of bed. I'm just naturally driven. I just, I want to be reliable to my clients, and even to my friends, my family, everyone who I come in contact with. I want to be that person for them.
Love it.
And so whether it means being their realtor or their friend, or another military spouse, whatever it may be, I want to be that person for them that they know that they can go to, and that they can rely on me for whatever it is. So it also leaves us like dog sitting a lot. Right now we're currently cat sitting.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. But so that's why I don't have one reason. There's no one reason why I'm doing this. It's just I want to be that person for my client, and when they choose me to be their realtor, that speaks volumes to me, and I don't take it lightly. And a lot of people are like, Amber, you're so high energy, and I am, but I think it's just passion.
Okay.
I'm not a very emotional person.
Okay.
I'm just passionate about what I do.
Right.
I'm passionate about helping my clients, and that, I think that kind of translates into hard work, good work ethic, and constantly going, you know,
Sure.
because and like I said, it's easy to do that because this isn't a job for me. It's a passion of mine, so it doesn't seem like work. So yeah, hey, if we need to do 7 on Saturday, Sunday, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, Christmas, I will do it. Because I don't see it as a job.
Right.
So
And that's a part of the passion that you mentioned. Yeah. And naturally being driven is fantastic. And again, alluding to your kind of addressing your point earlier about millennials, I fall into that category as well. You know, so I think that it does matter that not all of us are created equal, but there's a stereotype for millennials. But look, guess what? You can find lazy baby boomers just as much as hardworking ones. You can find lazy millennials just as much as hardworking ones. So it doesn't matter what generation you're from. You either get it or you don't.
Right.
You either work hard or you don't. You have the hustle or you don't. And I think that this is a perfect example of what everybody should be looking at, not just as a real estate professional, but as a younger millennial real estate professional that's going into the market. So I'm so glad that you're on the show to really represent all of us out there in the marketplace. So, but talking about your family and your clients and the passion, I think that's a huge why and obviously drives you to what you do, which I think is fantastic. Let's go into the next portion, which is more the advisory portion. A lot of these seasoned and newer professionals, they love this section because they want to know what the Titans are doing to grow their business, what they've done to scale, obviously in long periods or shorter periods of time. So if you could look back at your career, Amber, pick or choose, you know, one or two things that you added that took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you?
So, as a lot of people know, I've always been on a team. And you and I discussed this. I have had great mentors from the day I got started until the last day I was on a team. I've worked with some of the best in our industry, and I have learned so much from those individuals. And I just took little pieces from all of those, you know, mentors and teams and systems and processes, and I've kind of made it my own. And so last year in February, on my birthday, I left a team. Great team. It brought me great success. It was just time. It was time for me to do my own thing. I was building my own sphere of my business, and so I learned more in these last 12 months than I have ever about myself, my career, the industry. Just so much has happened in the last year. So the biggest thing that I did this year that I think really changed my business is you know, I was talking to another agent, and she's like, Amber, teach me your secrets. What are you doing?
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Ready? There are no secrets.
Wait, what do you mean?
They're like, what marketing are you doing? And so this is going to sound very bad. I do no marketing. I do no paid advertising. I do none of that. And she's like, what are you doing? How are you getting all these deals? And I said, very simply, put your head down and focus. Focus on your client, because that's what I'm doing. I'm putting my head down and I'm focusing. When I get a new client, seller, buyer, I go into like tunnel vision, and it's just all hands on deck, focus. And I don't see what's out here. And so I think really that is what allows me to do the work I do, because I'm not worried about what everyone else is doing. And so that's what I kind of try to relate to her. I was like, hey girl, focus, put your head down, focus on your client, focus on what matters, and everything else will come into place. And so, I don't know, maybe that's really what has happened. I'm not really quite sure. I kind of live day by day. But for me, it has been working great. I hope to grow more and come up with those systems, do that marketing, do all that greatness. And so, but right now, it's really like, and that's what a lot of my clients are like, Amber, do you have any other clients? Because you're always talking to me, and you're always... And it's, you know, I've got a lot of things going on, but I really just try to focus on my individual at that time. And it tends to work out. So, not all sunshine and rainbows, but but I really do think for me in the last year, that has what has set me aside and apart from where I've been in the past. So, you know, it's just hard work and being a good person and being yourself, and I think it'll shine through, and your clients will really appreciate it. So, you know, don't try to be perfect. Don't try to be this, you know, big bad, you know, agent, because people want to be really, they want to relate to you. And so, if they just know that you're truly there for them, whatever it may be, I think it'll go far.
I think that's huge, and just addressing it to everybody. Hopefully, you wrote that down or really take it to note. A few things that really stuck out to me. You're mentioning teams, learning from others, and growing from others. I think is crucial, whether it's in the beginning of the career or as you continue to go on. So it doesn't matter if you've been doing this for 5 years or 20 years. I think that we should always be learning and growing, which is a perfect example of what you have occurred and gone through for success. Furthermore, when you're breaking it down, which I love, as you're stating to it, is being real, being genuine, focusing on what's going on, not looking at the next shiny bell. And look, I'm a marketing nut, nerd.
No, we all know.
When it comes down to that, I'm all about it. But at the end of the day, the basics and the foundation never goes away. This is a people business. You have to be involved, shaking hands, meeting people, getting involved in the community. That's everything that you're stating and saying, but you're doing it to another level. And I think that that's something that everybody takes note. There is no silver bullet. There's no shortcut to success. It's trial and error, but hard work. So I think that's beautiful advice for everybody to take. Again, hopefully everybody wrote that down because that is great stuff.
Yeah. If you just take, from these, team owners or team leaders and, use those systems, but also you got to add a little bit of everything. You can't just have one ingredient. And I think, being on a team, that's where I struggled a lot was, just the conversion rates are, and so. However, I was actually talking to my husband about this in the car when we were snowboarding on Saturday. Cool. He's like, Amber, you got to learn how to shut off. And I was like, I know. Don't we all? Right?
Yeah, it's true.
We do. There's balance in life, and that we all need to learn. And I'm learning it slowly. But I said, that's my nature, though. I was so used to just quickly responding to everything as a new agent, and if there is one piece of advice I can give to new agents or even agents that are getting back into the business, it's response time. Respond, always be available. You have to do that. And so, I was like, Dan, I can't just not respond. He's like, Amber, but it's okay if you don't respond to that text message right away. And I said, I understand that, but it's just my nature.
Sure.
So I think I was very lucky and very fortunate to have that experience because that has made me the agent I am today. Wow. Just with the, with the cherry on top.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Which is good. I agree with the cherry on top, that's
true.
for sure. And it's great that, Dan, he had mentioned that.
Yeah.
And we all have to have reflection in our lives that way, have shut off time, recharge time. But when you're a high level thinker, a high-level producer, it's harder to do that, and we all have to work on it. But I think that is good advice. There is a time and a place. Time blocking is a real thing. People say it's time management, but it's really self-management.
It is.
So hey, you were up in the mountains, you were snowboarding. I mean, there we go. There was time.
I also answered a phone call from my title closer on top of the mountain. So.
There we go. Well, hey.
It's all about balance.
That's right. Good signal. You're up on the mountain. You're doing business.
I mean.
But this is good, though, Amber. I mean, this is getting a window deeper into it. I want to go a little bit deeper into the tricky portion.
Right.
Now, this is really the telling of this particular interview, and it's the toughest portion of it. It's a challenge question. So if you could look back at your life and share a challenge that you dealt with, that you overcame, that you became stronger because of it. What does that look like for you? And just to throw that out there to everybody, we all have challenges. Whether it's in the past, now in the future, no one's exempt. But it's not so much what happens, but how we respond. So what's that for you, Amber?
So my whole life, I have had to work hard for anything I accomplished. I am not naturally smart. I'm not naturally intelligent. I don't have a good reading comprehension. I always struggled in school, always. No matter what the subject. I went to tutoring as a kid. I needed extra help as a kid. And so when I realized I had to take a state and national exam, again, I didn't even know that much about real estate, didn't even know I needed to pass the test. I was like, well, here we go. I was a communication major for all, by all means.
Right.
No offense to comm majors, but so in order for me to graduate, I had to take a English diagnostic test 6 times. 6 times. Wow. Usually people take it 1 or 2 times, pass, they graduate, fine. I could not graduate. I had to take it 6 times, hired a private tutor. Went to the 9th. So when I had to pass this test, I was like, oh shoot, here we go. And so that's been my whole life. No matter sports, same thing. Anything that I had to accomplish, I had to work 10 times harder than any of my other siblings, any of my friends. I was slower, and so I'm not this naturally gifted person. I'm not this naturally gifted, intelligent, scholar or anything, So for me, I think that just, created my work ethic, is that I've had to work really hard, and I have to read things 5 times, and I have to go ask a couple questions, or I have to have people explain it to me a couple of times.
Right.
And so, but I think for me, that just makes me more diligent, more persistent. I don't give up easily, because if I did, I wouldn't be anywhere, where I am today. So, like taxes, for example, like still don't understand why I have to pay that much money.
You're like, come on, Uncle Sam, what's going on with that?
Y'all feel me, because I know we're all, really sad right now. But it's just understanding concepts is hard for me sometimes,
Sure.
and so luckily I love real estate so much that I enjoy reading about it, and I enjoy, increasing my knowledge, and so. That's been how I've overcome it, and I've just learned to work hard, and I learned that I'm not gonna get anything the first time, so when I don't, it's not really a big surprise to me. I'll just keep going again and again and again.
First of all, thanks for sharing. It's not easy to do it, kind of air everything out in front of everybody, but a lot of positive takeaways is, we do all have challenges, and you're looking at it as like, I don't just pick it up and I'm a natural at it. It's work and work and work. And in any part of your life, during any of those scenarios that you mentioned, you could have given up, and you didn't. And that's your positive attitude and nature. Be humble enough to say, you know what, these are my shortcomings. I'm going to do whatever I can to increase them and move forward. And that's what everybody should take away from that, truly, in my opinion, is that no matter what shortcomings we have or how hard it's going on, if you want something, go get it.
Go get it.
And you haven't let any of that stop you. Look at where you are and look at what you do. And the interesting thing about that is, from an outward eye appearance, if people have heard of you or worked with you, they're not going to know that. They're going to see a poised professional, somebody who's a hard worker and who's always there. And that's why, in my turn, you should always say, never judge a book by its cover. You just don't know what somebody's dealing with, or what day they had, or what family issues they're going through, or learning issues, whatever it may be. So I think that's a beautiful story to tell, Amber. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing that, because it's not easy to do. So if you're cool, let's go a little softer. Let's go on a different question. Got rid of that one. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, at any age range, what would you say to young Amber? I guess you could always say, would she listen to what you had to say?
Yeah, because she didn't want to yell, she ain't gonna listen to nothing.
It's like, nope, not happening.
Okay, what would I say to myself? So, I got in the business when I was 25, so if I would have talked to younger Amber, it'd been like 21 or younger.
Sure.
I would say, don't be so scared to just go for it. I was so scared. My first 5 years in this business, and primarily it was to go on my own.
Yeah.
I always relied on teams. I loved the team structure. I loved the team atmosphere. But in reality, I was just scared of relying on myself. I've never had to do that before. So, I've always been employed by someone else. I always had my husband to help me, So I've never truly had to rely on myself. But now, after I've done it and I'm on my own and I'm creating my own systems, I'm looking back and I'm like, I should have done that way earlier, and I would have been much farther. Not saying that a team wasn't great for me and my business, but I feel like I would have had to develop all of these things I'm developing now a lot sooner, and I would have just been more ahead. So I would say just go for it.
I love it.
Do it. Pour all your money and your heart and your time into it, because it's going to be worth it. This year, I was terrified. Being on a high producing team, you're terrified, and especially when you start, having a little bit of a name in the town, you're like, oh my gosh, what if I fail? Everyone's gonna laugh at me. What am I gonna do? I'm so scared. I can't do that. I need 500 deals a year. It's fine. One, no one cares that much. Two,
this is great.
Like, really, no one cares.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, now I don't really focus on my numbers as much as I used to, because it used to be so numbers driven, and so now it's numbers driven, but it's in a completely different way. And so I wish I just went full force in it, because I would have been, I know it would have been great, and so, because it has been great for me this past year, so that's my advice to myself, and so, if I could do it over, that's what I would do, but I don't take anything back. So
no, and as you said, I mean, I think that's great advice for everybody who's watching this, and especially a pivotal point in their careers to when to do that. You learn so much being on teams and growing and doing those things, so that's okay. I mean, no one has a crystal ball or a time machine, but it's an interesting question to kind of go through and think about. It's great reflection for everybody else. To kind of add on to that question, if you don't mind, this is just off the cuff here, but when did you feel it was right? Because anybody who's listening to this or watching this right now is like, okay, Amber, I get it. You're saying just do it, push forward, just if you love it, dump what you got into it. When's the right time? When did you feel it was right for you?
When the moment that I was not treating leads like I knew I shouldn't have treated leads, that's when I knew. Because it's not fair to your team owner or mentor or whomever you're getting leads from. It's not fair to them for you not to be cultivating those leads and converting them like is expected of you.
Right.
So at that moment when I wasn't excited to work those leads, I knew in my heart, this is not right. This is not, every day just felt so forced, And also when I started saying, oh, I could do this better like this, or I could do this better like this, well, then go and do it better, And so when I started coming up with my own systems and my own ways and I had my own preferences of doing things, I think for me that was when I knew it was time to start making that transition. And so but after I made the transition, I mean, ask my husband, there's a couple white girl meltdowns, ugly crying, I'm going to fail, how am I going to do this?
This is real, everybody, this is great.
Right, yeah, ugly girl meltdown, and so luckily though, I had so much support, so much encouragement, great mentors, and the teams that I've been on, they were so supportive, and my clients, everyone was just so supportive and made sure that I believed in myself to achieve what I needed to achieve. So, but yeah, I would say when it's really starting to be a struggle for you, take a couple minutes to yourself and really start visualizing what you see yourself doing in the next 5 years, where you want to be, and just does that mean being on a team or does it mean not being on a team? I think that's the big struggle. The struggle there, and because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Well said. It's not always greener, so you really, even to this day, there's some days where I'm like, am I just meant to be on a team? Like, when I don't want to come up with, my own email templates or my own, scripts or my own, I'm meeting with website developers, and I'm like, is this really my thing? Like, I like doing real estate. I'm a realtor. That's what I do. That's my nature. But when you're on your own, you've got a lot more responsibilities. But luckily, we had great mentors in this town, great team leaders, team members, all who work together, I think, in such a great way. Sure. And I have developed such great relationships with other agents. And, I think that's something unique in Colorado Springs. I don't know. I've never been anywhere else. But to me, I think it's something special. Right. And so no matter what, you can always ask and get opinions and experiences, and I think, having a communications background, that's just what we do, right? Sure. We share stories, and that's how we communicate, and so everyone shares their experience and then just make the right decision for you. So,
I love that. I think there's so many takeaways from there. So again, if you're on the fence, you're thinking about it, well, first of all, I was going to say, call Amber, she's open for it, but just do it. I mean, go all in, really make it happen. Life's too short that way, and I really believe that as well. You'll just know, you'll feel it. So let's go into the next question, which is kind of along the same vein of education. It's the feeding of the mind question. A lot of the viewers love to understand how the Titans are feeding their minds, how they're growing this way. So if you could, share some books you're reading or podcasts you're listening to or influencers or coaches, what are you feeding your mind, Amber? Is that a loaded question? I don't know.
So here's the funny story about that. I don't read books. Sure. I don't.
There you go.
My husband's like, you need to read, and that is on my goals list for 2019 is to read. Okay. I will let you know. I'll keep you posted on that. Yes. But it's not like I don't enjoy reading. Okay. Reading is hard for me. Sure. It's a chore for me. It's not something I enjoy or that brings me peace and calm. Completely understand. Yeah. And I'm such high energy. I get up at 4:30 every day. I I'm in the office by 7:30. I go to the gym before. So by the time I get home, Greg, I'm exhausted.
Right.
My brain's exhausted. My body hurts. I'm drained. And so I really just try to take that time for myself. I play with my dogs, like
Love
just
it.
quiet time.
Okay.
I literally sit on my floor and I play with my dogs, and I talk to my husband, and then I usually answer a couple phone calls, and then I, drop cooking dinner, so he always picks up the slack.
Okay.
But
That's what team's for, though.
it is.
That's
Teamwork
a team
makes
player.
the dream work.
Yes.
And so I do, a lot of social media.
Okay.
I have a social media background. So, again, that's something that doesn't really bring me joy or inspiration sometimes.
Sure.
But I really do try to follow a lot of other influencers that are not real estate related.
Love it.
And,
Yes.
but I try to spin that in how can that help my business. Because I think some things can be oversaturated, right? Like
Agreed.
when you go to a conference and you hear that you're supposed to be doing ABC.
Mm-hmm.
The next week, what do you see? ABC all over
ABC across the board.
Right. So how do you separate yourself? And so that's the only way I know how to do that is to look at other influencers in different industries and see what they're doing and how can you relate that to real estate. I think that's a great idea.
Love it.
So I'm trying to do that, and but no, I don't. I do listen to Bigger Pockets just because I have to ride on my husband's car on the way to this
Hey,
and so
nothing wrong with that.
so it does eventually happen, and it is something that's great. It's helpful, but not something really on top of my list right now. Like I said, I just focus on my clients, and that's really all that matters. So
Love it.
everything else outside, just kind of I block out for the most part.
Well, and you mentioned, alone time, quiet time, family time. That's really important. So that's a real time to reset and recharge, as we kind of earlier discussed. But you looking outside of the industry for ideas and inspiration and really what goes on for business tactics and everything along those lines, I think that's great for everybody to look at. Real estate is a bubble inside of itself. And I agree with what you said. The analogy that I always think of when somebody says, I went to a conference and then, thousands of people do the same thing. It's like the beginning of the year and I'm going to lose all this weight and I'm going to go to the gym, and then 3 weeks later they all, cancel their gym memberships. I think that you need to look at something that you can consistently feed your mind to, whatever that may be, whether it's on topic of industry or not. I think that's great takeaways for everybody, to really just understand that as long as you're learning and growing whatever facet, that's great. You dive deep into your business. You're learning your business and your craft. That's growing your mind tremendously.
Right.
So, because the contracts are always changing, consumers are always changing, neighborhoods the whole nine, so you know that, and so does everybody who's watching this. So I think that's consuming enough.
It is.
So,
it really is. So my hat goes off to the agents who have children and shuffling sports and kids and school, because it's exhausting. It's a full full-time job, 7 days a week. There are no business hours, no 9 to 5, and so I do watch Real Estate Titans though.
Okay, hey,
Yeah.
and you are on the show
I
now,
know.
so that's great. And in iTunes, Spotify, anybody who's listening is there too. But Amber, this has been fantastic, chock full of really useful, truthful information that everybody can take away. So again, honored to have you. I want to finish this up with one final question.
Okay.
And this question comes back to a mantra or a quote that you live by to sum up yourself as a brand, as a person, as a professional. What does that look like for you?
I really live by the quote or in the saying, it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about you, the agent.
Wow.
Not about me.
Yeah.
And so I think us agents need to really let that marinate for a minute, that it's not about us. It's never about me.
So
It's
good.
about my client. And if you start having that mindset in everything that you do, I think it will be beneficial for you. To be in this business, you have to have a servant heart. And so when it really truly starts becoming about your client, everything changes. And so when I first got in the business, it kind of was about me.
Right.
It was about me and my issues and my time and my schedule and my this. It's not about that anymore. It's about my client's time. It's about my client's goal. It's about my client's, time frame. It's about my client's Saturday, not my Saturday. It's about their,
Wow.
And so it's not about you.
Right.
It's not. And honestly, also I see a lot of deals where agents get in the way, good or bad.
Sure.
And so I never want that to happen ever to one of my transactions, and it never will, because I make sure that neither myself nor the agent that I'm working with ever get in the way. And so we just, again, it's that laser focus. And so, and I heard that a couple years back, and it really resonated with me. I'm like, I'm like, wait, what? It's not about me?
It's perfect.
It's not. And so when you start truly living by that, everything just kind of falls into place. So that's what I live by.
I love
every
it.
day.
I think that sums you up beautifully. I mean, it's not about you, right?
No.
I mean, I think that's great, and obviously it resonates out there to the marketplace and the consumers that love you and work with you and everybody in your life. So I think that's fantastic. Amber, again, thanks so much. You are an official Real Estate Titan.
Thank you, appreciate it.
This has been wonderful. Everybody, thanks again so much for your time and attention, your love and support. I really appreciate all of that you guys are doing for this particular show. If you like what we're doing here and you want to show some more love, some support, like the Facebook page, share it with your friends. Also subscribe to iTunes or our YouTube channel for more content on that. As always, live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
Bye.
And we are almost